Okay, so moving on to a team that will probably not be making the postseason because they look like probably the worst team I've seen in many, many years. And I saw the Baltimore Orioles last year, but it's right up there, and that's the Boston Red Sox. And the fall from grace that the Boston Red Sox have endured the last 2 years, the last year and a half, is absolutely astonishing to me. They have the 108 win World Series in 2018. And then the bottom falls out right after that. A lot of people blame Core last year for kind of bringing up his starters late because of the late October run the year before, and then they never really got into a groove. That's fine. But then the idea that in the offseason, when you still have this core in place with Mookie Betts and Rafi Devers, and you still have Sale, who was healthy at the time, and Price, and all these guys, Benintendi and Bogaerts, to just absolutely just give up and not only trade your best player and trade your second best starter for basically nothing. They had absolutely no plan to replace those guys. They went into 2019, even before the pandemic, knowing that these were the five guys that they were going to put out in their starting rotation, and it's just not good enough. And we talked about, what's respectful or disrespectful to baseball. I'll tell you what's disrespectful to baseball is when one of your top markets, one of your storied franchises, just completely gives up. I don't know what was going on. And for Mookie Betts, they got Verdugo, who looks like he has a nice swing. But, they could have demanded Dustin May for, the second best player in baseball that some people would say he is, Mookie Betts. But they didn't. They got Verdugo, who's a pretty good player, in my opinion. They got Jeter Downs, who knows. And they got another guy who's not up yet. Another, I guess, pitching prospect. But they did not get what they should have got from Mookie Betts. And it's going to help set them back for years, I think.
I think this all started with the Red Sox, maybe probably 2-3 years ago, when Kimbrel had to get re-signed, or the year before Kimbrel had to get re-signed. I think I remember him being the literal last resort for that bullpen. He was one of maybe 2 or 3 pieces that they could actually count on. And then it went into the offseason. Kimbrel had to get re-signed. Then they just neglected to put money into their bullpen. And ever since then, I feel like it's just been a slow depletion of their pitching staff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They didn't have a bullpen last year, but they were able to be competitive
for the past couple of years, though,
because they had Sale and Price, and they had Porcello, and they had Eduardo Rodriguez, and they had a pretty decent staff with the lineup they have. But right now, I'm sure Cash was working with the minors. I'm sure Ty watched it, and Scott, I'm sure you saw a couple innings of the national televised games. They don't even try. There's no pride with the Red Sox whatsoever.
JD Martinez beating Scott's Phillies right now as we speak.
They're up 1-0 on the Phillies right now, so it's really the first time I'm seeing the Red Sox. They're still going to hit, but yeah, the pitching staff is brutal. Tonight, Zach Godley started. He's got an 8 ERA. They have other guys like Ryan Weber, and when Nathan Eovaldi is your ace, it's not good. Yeah, he had a great postseason run for them when they won the World Series, but we've seen it over his career. He's a guy that is oft injured and isn't very consistent. Unfortunately, they're missing out on Eduardo Rodriguez because of the heart condition from his battle with COVID. Chris Sale with Tommy John. If they had those two guys, it's a different story. But as you mentioned, they traded Mookie Betts and really didn't get a ton back.
Harry went deep.
You got one guy in Verdugo who's major league ready. Downs is still in the minor leagues. They could have gotten Brewster Gratterall from the Minnesota Twins which fell apart.
And Gratterall is now part.
Can you imagine Mookie Betts in Minnesota
Dodgers bullpen? That lineup would be absolutely terrifying. But
can you imagine? That would be nuts.
The whole thing that the Red Sox ownership has stated that they want to do is cut back on their payroll. you're the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean they're acting like the Mets. That's how the Mets
And
act.
I understand, yeah, they're losing a lot of money this year due to the no fans, but they're the Red Sox. They sell out every single game. Their fans are there no matter what.
Mhm.
That
There's
city
absolutely no
loves.
excuse for them to just penny pinch all of a sudden. I don't know
And
what they were trying to accomplish. They just won the World Series.
yeah, exactly. They won the World Series 2 years ago. They made a lot of bad mistakes with contracts recently. There's probably still paying a lot of those guys, but still. And one of the things I did hear is their ownership group has been buying up real estate like around Fenway Park, and they're trying to like build up around Fenway Park, kind of create like that atmosphere that the Cubs have down in Wrigleyville. So you're
Mhm.
saying you guys have the money to go out buy real estate and build up the area around your stadium, but you don't have the money to put into your team to put a product on the field that is, palatable to your fan base?
And not only do they not keep Mookie Betts and they trade him away, this guy is a homegrown Hall of Fame guy. And that's like the Yankees, trading Jeter 5 years in or Judge now. How can the Boston Red Sox do that to their fan base that is so loyal and so passionate and wants the team to do well, like more than any other of the sports teams? It just makes no sense to me at all.
I think the problem here is the JD Martinez signing. I know it worked out for them in the first 2 years of the contract, but through right now and looking forward, that's not exciting whatsoever.
He has an opt-out after this season.
Yeah, but he's not going to opt out. That's the thing. Unless it's a team option, that he's still going to stay on the payroll. He's getting – it's 5 years, $110 million. So what do you got? A little over 20 mil a year. And then you just let a guy like Mookie Betts, who is 5 years younger, walk when you would have got away with paying him maybe like 5 mil, 6 mil extra a year. It's just bad. It's bad. And they signed Bogaerts before Betts too.
I think that not that I like defending the Boston Red Sox because I don't, but Mookie also made it pretty clear that he wasn't interested in signing long term until free agency, until his free agent year, which to me could mean he wasn't really sold on Boston. I mean, I don't know. That's maybe a risk that the Red Sox couldn't take.
No, I don't know if he did that. I mean, how much can you hate Boston when you have the fan base that you have, and then you just won the World Series 2 years before? I think he liked Boston. I think he actually loved Boston, but I just feel like that's a kind of a play.
Did you talk to him?
I think that's just kind of a play that players use because they want to experience free agency. A lot of players
I get
do.
that, and I'm not whatever. Like I'm not an MLB player. I can't commit to that. I can't tell you what they are thinking. My perspective is if they're thinking, well, if he can't commit now, we're going to trade him. Granted, they didn't get enough for him, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that a lot of people knew it was kind of a mutual parting. I personally don't think Betts was going to stay.
I don't think
Ownership
Betts would have
definitely-
stayed because I don't think ownership wanted to give him the money.
I
mean, what was the big rumor before he actually signed the extension during the winter that he was just going to leave for a year? And then Red Sox were magically going to re-sign him. I don't think that was ever in play because if Boston wasn't going to pay him today, why would they pay him a year from now? It's all about money. I'm sure they loved Betts and they wanted to keep him forever, but I don't know why the top 3 franchise in sports is letting go a homegrown superstar and trading him for nothing because
It just hand delivered him to Los Angeles.
I mean, the Yankees.
There has to be more to it.
I don't
That's all
want
I'm
to.
saying.
I don't want to see if they went into a room cash, and I agree that we don't know what happened behind closed doors. And if Betts says, you know what, I hate it here. I don't like Boston at all. Get rid of me. Boston would have been like, fine, but you still have to get more for what you got.
Oh, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I mean, the Yankees got Gleyber Torres for a half season of a relief pitcher. No matter how good Aroldis Chapman is, he is a relief pitcher, and he was going to be there for 2 to 3 months. And they got, a kid that could be a superstar and who could be a Hall of Fame guy. And the Red Sox got, an outfield replacement. And they also put in Price in that deal too. And they didn't get, the top cream of the crop of the Dodger
think,
farm system.
No, they didn't. But I do
they didn't get Dustin May.
They definitely think highly of Verdugo.
I'm sure they do, and I think Verdugo's a good player. I liked his swing. He had a couple of home runs in the Yankee series this past weekend, but they did not. You need to get an arm. You need to get a high-quality starting pitcher to go along with Verdugo for Mookie Betts, who's probably top 3 player in the game. You probably go Trout, Bellinger, Betts in that somewhere in that order, and then Tatis comes through too. I don't know. Just in my opinion, I think that the Red Sox front office just completely botched whatever they were trying to do with Mookie Betts. And they're paying for it now because, this is not going to be a Yankee situation where they have one trade deadline where they recuperate a bunch of prospects for expiring guys, aging guys, and then they're in the ALCS the next year. This is going to be a long process of rebuilding for Boston. And it's sad because, baseball's better when the Red Sox are good.
Yeah,
I'm sure the ratings on ESPN and Fox this weekend were not good at all because who wants to watch that team?
So I forget who I saw.
Tanaka's been terrible today, by the way.
Yeah, I forget who tweeted it, but they said, "How bad do the Red Sox have to be, and for how long before the ESPN crew stops putting Yankees Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball
I don't
4
think
or
they'll
5
ever
times
stop.
a year?"
I don't think they'll ever stop.
But like, what if they? So then they posed the hypothetical: what if the Red Sox do not win another game this year? Will we see Yankees Red Sox next year on Sunday night?
Probably.
Yes.
I think the answer is probably yeah.
Because the executives love them
never
some
take it
East
off.
Coast baseball. They love them
Sure.
some rivalries. I don't know. I know.
Is it much of a rivalry though? It's
not really a
16.
rivalry at all. Yeah. They've won 10 in a row against the Red Sox now.
There was a couple-year period where we did not have grasp of that anymore, and going to Boston was a tough trip. Maybe between
those
3 and 5
years
years
of
ago.
13, 14, 15, 16, those 4 years, that was rough. But the Yankees weren't horrible. They won 85 games per year those years.
Mm-hmm. No, but the Red Sox were definitely better.
I mean, the Red Sox, if you really think about it, they have had a few years this century or the last 7-8 years where they haven't been good. Remember that Bobby Valentine year? They came in last place. Then they won the World Series in 13. And then 14 and 15, they came in last place. But I don't think those teams were as bad as this one. This team just has no fight.